What's up, Brent?
Samantha.
Not
Sam. Sammy the Notorious.
What's up? Not your normal average sales meeting, right?
No.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to welcome you on to the Curiosity Collective. It's a platform that I'm using to amplify stories that are a little bit out of the box. And I think that you're in a bit of a transition era right now, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Awesome.
This is gonna be like the last podcast thing I do before I leave. So we're gonna get reflective, right?
Yeah, dive right into it. So for all that might not know this, Brent is actually my boss at our day job, Hillside Solutions, and I wanted to bring him on to the show to talk a little bit about his story. He's been through kind of like a wild ride of different career paths, and I want to get right into it. Can you share? First question is, what did you want to be as whenever you were a kid?
So grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, was adopted into a wonderful family. And I remember having a couple moments of like when I was young, imagining myself like where the action was. And
There we go.
I didn't know how to articulate. At the time I watched a lot of TV as a kid, and so I was like, oh, maybe I'll be the cameraman, like watching in on all this action unfold. And then the second thing I remember that I thought was significant was in high school, you're going through a lot of changes, and it's like it's just naturally difficult era. But there was something like inside of me. I was like, okay, just chill. Like you're gonna do great things. Like you're here to do some awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And there's intent, there's purpose. Like just chill out. And I kind of had that riding in me. And those definitely got me through that whole awkward phase. And so when how I got into like the DJing thing, because you send me the questions, I know what's coming next, right?
Yeah.
So in high school, I graduated in 2002. So it's kind of catching the tail end, like the tailwind of like the 90s rave era.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wonderful time. As much as Gen Z builds it up and like romanticizes it, it was amazing. And so I was in high school, and like my sophomore year, like my friends were whispering about these like raves, and I was like, okay, I want in, and going to them, it was like walking in this as like just this Midwestern, Omaha, Nebraska, born and raised boy, that lives in, just like basically the suburb, but it's like, in central Omaha. And then all of a sudden you walk into this, it was so weird. It was the Armory.
Okay.
Which is like where the National Reserves it's like this big gymnasium. Very weird if I want to put my tinfoil hat on. But it's like the rest, I just had this moment where it was like, I don't know, 2 a.m. or something. And I'm like, the rest of Omaha the majority is like basically asleep. And in here, it's like the most alive I've ever felt. And there's like the drag queen with like the chandelier on the head, and like skateboarders and goth kids and like, all whatever. And it was like all in one place. And it was like, I don't know. I was like, I was hooked. And so going to those and kind of falling into that, there was like one night, now that I have kids, this is so weird to tell the story. So I hope my kids don't watch this, but like, let's just be real. Like, I was like, hey, mom and dad, I'm going to spend the night over here. And my friend was like, hey, I'm going to spend the night over at Brent's. And then we went to Kansas City.
Naughty.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you guys didn't hear that.
And so there was like a rave there. And that I remember being on the sidelines, like taking a rest and like watching this DJ and like the crowd, and like the DJ would like turn on the bass, and then that would make them do something different. It would pump up the bass, and that would make them do something different. And I saw the reciprocal, I'll call and response.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, okay, I went in on this. Like that looks really fun. Like that's infectious. And that's when I started, getting into at 17. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this DJ thing. And then that kind of took my life in a whole different direction.
So after you kind of develop this like, hey, I want to be a DJ kind of mentality, you advanced your career and you're known back in those days as the House of Loom. Can you
Yeah.
kind of talk about
Yeah.
how you got
So
into that era?
it's kind of entrepreneur. It's also kind of a story of entrepreneurialism,
Yeah.
you know? And then the music was just the vehicle for that. It could have been
Yeah.
anything. So I remember I was a teenager and I was like trying to get in, like there was like places I wanted to play, but I was age gated.
Yeah.
And so I had coffee shops, you know, and back then you had like, there's some cool coffee shops, you know, MJ Java, Stage Right, Caffeine Dreams, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh man, I remember that place.
And these places would like, if you were like, hey, I want to come and like on a Friday night, like play music, and they're like, you're not an acoustic artist, like, what are you doing? Like, no, chill, like, check out
Yeah.
this mix CD. It's like super loungy for appropriate for coffee shops, you know. And they're like, oh, okay, sure, go, yeah, you can do it. We're not gonna pay you. Maybe we'll give you $20 and like a cup of coffee. Like, if I'm like, that was like good. That was a good Friday night.
That's a good deal.
And so, but I remember the ethos back then was like, work with what you got and work your way up.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my mantra. And so then I was like, all right, well, I got a couple coffee shops, but why don't I do like all the coffee shops?
Yeah.
And why don't I put together like a like a thing, like a little fly? So back then, like graphic design was like very like I couldn't just like go to Canva.
Yeah.
So I had to know a guy who was going to school at Creighton for graphic design and be like, hey man, can you make me a flyer? You know, and so then he made the flyer and I titled it. I was playing Deep House a
Yeah.
lot of times. And so I was like, and Coffee House. I was like, okay, Deep Coffee House.
Yeah.
And then I was like, tour. And so I'm like,
Oh,
I had like
geez.
15 dates, you know, on it. And I was like, here you go. And the Reader was like this like at the time a weekly newspaper
Yeah.
of like arts and culture and like talked about political stories, you know, that, you know, the World Herald wouldn't touch or whatever.
Yeah.
Super cool. And they had like an event section. And so I was like, I just emailed them that, like thinking I would just get like the small print, you know, and they're like, what is this guy? What are you doing? And so
Yeah.
then they messaged me like, can we do a feature on you
Yeah.
as like a teenager? And then, so that's how I got my
Jeez.
first article, which was like, you know, significant, you know, for like how information was spread back
Yeah.
then. And then that caught the attention of the people who I was trying to get attention, you know, like in the bars and clubs I couldn't get to.
Yeah.
And then that's how I got into like started DJing while I was underage, you know, and some of these like Bar 415 back then it was like
Yeah.
um a different kind of, you know, different scene. Anyways, but that's yeah, I kind of got into that. And then now I'm in college, I'm gigging, I'm playing in different places, and I kind of was like, is this it? Like I like
Yeah.
like these gigs are fun, but like I'm wanting more. And at the same time, I had a mentor. His name was Jack, who's kind of older guy who'd kind of caught the tail end of like the disco era and like
Yeah.
really understood the contextual landscape of American dance music and like what I was into and like where it came from. And so I sort of realized like the rave stuff I was into and the house music and stuff actually came from, you know, 70s disco and that whole scene really came from like gay, black, Latino folks.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. My friends didn't know that, you know, and so it was like mind blown, you know, like, whoa. And then all of a sudden, like all the music I was hearing, like the samples, I'm like, oh yeah, that actually like could be connected to a disco record. You know,
Yeah.
like I didn't really know that, you know. So then I was like, okay, I learned about the nightlife in the 70s and 80s and 90s of like it happened in New York and Chicago and how that laid the roots for dance music and you know, and house music and you know what we call EDM, you know,
Yeah.
now and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, the multicultural vibes that those parties had, I was like, could I replicate that in Omaha?
Yeah.
And just for references, like Larry Levon, Paradise Garage, David Mancuso, The Loft, Nicky Siano, the Gallery. These were sort of like the places I was like, could I do like just a tenth of that
Yeah.
here in Omaha? And so rather than play to like the post-rave generation demographic, mostly white folks, I was like, could I make a scene that would be like people from all different walks of life would
Yeah.
feel comfortable walking into and would get with? And so then it was a framing thing. At the time, people thought like the music that that if you played house, for example, people just called it techno. And
Yeah.
so they're like, it's all techno, everything. And then I've heard techno at that gay club, the Max. I don't really like it. So I don't like any of it. It
Yeah.
was very written off easily. So I knew I had this barrier of like people, if they just heard a 4/4 beat, they'd just sort of be like, no, not me, you know? So I was like, how do I get past that? Because there's lots of dance music that is a cultural tapestry of like rhythms from around the world and based in like, you know, the African beat and things like, and drum. And I'd love to get more into that, but we got this clock ticking over here. So let's choose a venue that no one has any association
Yeah.
with. There's no pre context of I don't go to that place. So we found this beautiful Spanish restaurant in Benson, and Benson at the time was like no one went to Benson.
Yeah.
There was nothing there.
Oh,
But
really?
there was like this beautiful Spanish tapas restaurant, and so I was like, hey, give me a Thursday night, and then okay, let's marketing. We're not going to say we play house music or whatever. We're going to say like Afro, Latin, jazz, funk, soul, you know, let's add in a live percussionist. 'Cause
Yeah.
Omaha was very like Saddle Creek live music town at the time. I was like, okay, there's your live music splashed in there.
Yeah.
And then we did one, and we just thought our friends would show up, and ended up having like, you know, 50 some people, you know, popping out Thursday night.
Right.
And then it grew, and then we started like selling out that little Spanish restaurant. We did that for 5.5 years,
Jeez.
and really, so there was like there's people that have remember different eras, and there's like the Loom España era, you know.
Yeah.
And then from there, we had enough momentum that a friend of ours, Ethan Bondelid, had some capital, and he's like, why don't we turn this into a brick and mortar? Because the house always wins was kind of the mantra. Like you're making all this money for these people traveling around doing these other events and other places too,
Right.
but you're just taking the door.
Right.
You know, at the time we were charging like $5. You know, and
Yeah.
like beyond that was like a stretch for people. So it's like the house always wins. Let's own the house.
Yeah.
So then we found a spot on 10th and Pacific. Used to be the Goofy Foot, and you know, then we're like, okay, we're gonna do that Loom concept there. What do we call it? Well, we already had Loom, but then we're like, the house always wins. Okay, House of Loom.
There you
know?
go.
So that's how that name came about. So that started in 2000. So Loom and España started in 2006. Then House of Loom started in 2011, and then we had a 5.5 year run there as well. And that was like, okay, now if we could take a multicultural dance party and then stretch it across 7 days a week, 365 days a year, what would that look like? And that was my job to figure that out.
Jeez. Was that a lot of pressure then?
Yeah, because we ended up being an event venue. And
Yeah.
so like one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that we almost went out of business
Oh.
within the first year, which is common for
Yeah.
businesses. But and that was because we hoped we would open, it would just be a bar and people would come. But it ended up being a scenario where we were an event. People thought of us as an event bar now, so
Yeah.
we had to throw the events all the time. And then the second thing was, we thought, you know, we were probably a little bit too stuck up on the drink selection. It was like, we're not gonna do Bud Light. We don't like Bud Light.
Jeez.
Who knows? Like that's whatever. We're not doing that kind of stuff. Like this is like premium drinks, craft cocktails, you know,
Yeah.
Belgian beers. Then these people at like Friday night, place is packed, guy, random, whoever shows up, and he's like, all right, Bud Light, you know, or Coors Light or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And then the bartender goes, oh, sorry, we don't serve that. And it was just like
Oh no.
what?
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting here waiting. There's more people that want drinks, and now we're just trying to figure out what's going to happen next. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like, this is not working out.
Well, that sucks. They I wanted to have you, since you're a DJ and then you moved into why I'm wearing Viv overalls is because we work on a composting farm.
Oh, yeah.
So I was in my hillside era. I want to transition the conversation into play one song
Yeah.
from your House of Loom era, and then I'll trans into your next phase.
Yep.
Give it to us.
Okay. This is the first House of Loom, or the first Loom song. I made a mix CD, and this was the first song on the mix, and then it just sort of became an anthem for our group. I still have people
It's funky.
I still have people that will request it.
Really?
And this
I
was
like it.
back in 2006. Yeah.
I like the beats. So,
Okay.
so getting back on track, at what point did you see yourself evolving out of that phase? And then how did you find yourself literally composting zoo poo, as you say online?
Yeah. So the release was up for House of Loom, and it was like, do we sign another 3, 5 year lease?
Yeah.
Nightclubs are notorious for their business models; they don't last forever.
Yeah.
At this point, I was in my 30s. I had a child, and it was like, I don't know if I have the energy, the will to keep this going at this level. Let's be like Seinfeld. Seinfeld is a popular show, and they ended when they were still on a high note. We're like, let's
Yeah.
just go out on a high note.
There you go.
So we got to choose our end date, which is a blessing for any business owner. And then after that, I didn't really have a full clear plan. So there was about a year where I was like, I was doing a couple of different things. But my wife in the meantime was like, she befriended this farmer in Honey Creek, Iowa, who had these rows of grapevines, and he didn't have time to take care of them. And he's like,
Yeah.
hey guys, you can do this, care tend for these, harvest them, it's yours, whatever. I just want to see them go because they're my dad's, and he's no longer around. And it's just like a legacy thing.
Yeah.
Sweet. So we're finding ourselves on this farm, and one weekend, there was other people that might come and visit. So there was someone that walked by, and we started chatting with her. Her name was Betsy, and it's like one of those things where it's like, when I met you and I started to get to know you, I had a feeling about you.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's like a magnetism here. There's something like I need to, lean into this. I had that in that conversation.
Okay.
It felt electric.
There you go.
It was like, whoa, I don't know what's going on, but this feels right. And so I was like, we ended up hanging out underneath a tree, eating peaches together with her future husband. And they're like, hey, why don't you come over for dinner, but in a couple months for some
Yeah.
reason. And we'll break bread together, Shabbat dinner. I'm not Jewish, so I was like, welcome to that custom, which is super cool. During that dinner, Betsy announced, she's like, hey, I've been working for the startup named Hillside, but I'm going to go on to my my other thing, and do you want this job?
Yeah.
Essentially. Like, wow, okay. And so I thought about it, and I was like, okay, composting is definitely like, that world is expanding.
Yeah.
I know how to take a business, from nothing to something. Like, this sounds like a fun challenge.
Yeah.
Nightclubs have been kind of nosediving, because Gen Z is not really interested in that kind of socialization anymore. So,
Yeah.
boom, we got into it. January 2018 started. 8 years later, we've built a really fun thing together and brought you on,
Yeah.
for
We
4 years.
love it. Hillside Solutions is an eco-friendly waste management company, and we've got about 8 minutes left, so I want to keep going. But that era of sustainability, go ahead and play us a song on what you think that is all about.
All right, this is Tuxedo, this wonderful funk group, and they put out a really great album in 2018, the year that I started. And so this is what I associate with Hillside.
Let's see it. This is Earth Day Omaha music. I love it. That's amazing. What did the chapter of your Hillside chapter teach you about life? And then you have a huge transition coming up. He's moving to Australia, guys. Like, we've been working together for 4, 5, 6 years with Conservation Nebraska. It's been a long time. How did you choose what's going on with that?
Well, I joke I'm 41 now, which means I'm middle-aged, so this is my midlife crisis. And so I decided to upend every aspect of our lives and start new. So really it was I think me and my wife started designing, like, what do we want for our ideal lifestyle?
Yeah.
And then, fortunately we realized, like, I don't know that Omaha had it.
Yeah.
And so we were looking at Minneapolis, beautiful model American city for livability and families and stuff to do, and nature. But then we're like, I don't know, maybe we should widen our search.
Yeah.
We looked at Costa Rica, but it didn't really it was like, nah, maybe when we're retired. Then we had some friends visit from Australia for Berkshire Hathaway weekend. And chatting with them, it was like, okay, you know, there's like a lot of different things that we're hitting right. And so then we're like, let's do it, you know. But it was like even after I committed to it, it was like very stressful. Like I would wake up in the in the middle of the night and just like not sleep and think like, am I losing my mind?
A
Like
little
why am I
bit.
doing this? I like my job.
Yeah.
Like that's great. I love my community,
Yeah.
my friends, family, I don't want to lose that. So, but then one day, I got done with a meeting downtown early. I was gonna go. My next one was at Archetype Coffee House,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'll go there early and I'll just sit on the patio and I'll do some work. And so I sat there. I was sitting out there by myself, and then this couple sits down next to me. And the first thing I noticed is they're complaining about the coffee, and I'm like, "You're like one of the best coffee shops in Omaha. Like, what's going on here?"
Yeah.
The second thing I noticed is like, I think that's an Australian accent, and then I was like, that has to be because Australians are really known for being coffee snobs. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
excuse me, guys, like, sorry to interrupt, but like, are you from Australia? And they're like, yeah, and I was like, okay, oh, cool. My family, like, I think we're gonna move down there,
Yeah.
this town sitting in Adelaide, and they go, we're from there. Like,
Oh, geez.
whoa, hair
Goosebumps.
standing on my arms now. I'm like, yeah, my wife, she's gonna go to this university down there, and so we're going on a student visa, and then there's a couple married couple, and the wife goes, I graduated from that university.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Ah, synchronicities all
Yeah, and
around.
so it
Jeez.
was like we proceeded to have a great conversation, but I think the point of it was like, you know, that was the universe's way, God,
Yeah.
whatever language you want to use, like you can do this. This is okay.
Yeah.
We got your back. This is gonna work out. And so that from that point forward, of like I'm just have this like odd calmness about how this is gonna work out.
Okay. So I'll get you to play another song that describes the version of Omaha that doesn't know you. Maybe those inner behind the scenes songs.
This is definitely
Because we thought you were Mr. Omaha.
so I was setting up for a DJ gig, and it was just like some random bland music in the background. All of a sudden this song hit. This is over the summer, and I was like, whoa, I forgot about this. And it's Cranberries Dreams.
Oh, we love that song.
And I was
Okay.
like, whoa. And then I became like obsessed with it for a few days, and I realized it's like this is like for me right now in this moment. And it's kind of like a more of a feminine song. So this is
Yeah.
more the what do people not know about you is like
Yeah.
I got kind of obsessed with this song for a
Okay.
couple weeks. Copyrighted, so we'll cut that one
We gotta be careful.
short.
We gotta be careful. Okay. Well, Australia is in a whole new continent. We kind of talked about like why you were going. Are you nervous? Are you excited? Is this a bucket list item? And then, kind of talk about, how you got that nerve to go
I think it was
in 1 minute or less.
in 1 minute or less. Okay, so I think it comes down to like, do you want to go for it or not?
Yeah.
Like, um, we all get one life, but like we also can potentially have sub lives within a single life.
Yeah.
So, being like the nightclub guy was a whole different vibe.
Right.
Being in the sustainability world was like its own thing,
Right.
And now it's like there's going to be this other piece, and there were other pieces before that too, as a child and whatnot, right? And so, like, by doing this, I'm hoping to give, um, teaching myself and my family that like we can go for it.
Yeah.
Just go for it, whatever it is you want to do. Hopefully, I'm inspiring others,
Yeah.
along the same way. And then, and just like we're here, let's do this.
I've been spontaneously breaking down. Yeah, I'm gonna miss you. But
Oh,
I love your drive and your ambition and your like ability to get curious about things and people in the world. Um, if someone watching feels a chapter ending or a new calling, what would you say to them? Last question, and then I want you to we'll play that first, your coming into Australia song, and then talk a little bit, like give advice for our followers.
All
I
right.
think I got 3 followers, so give them some good stuff.
Empire of the Sun is actually from Australia, so I'm definitely going to play this at my going away party on New Year's.
Yay.
Um, which,
Awesome.
which, by the way, Benson Theater. Does this come up before then?
Yeah.
All right. Um,
I love it.
right. All right, there you go.
Nice.
You know the rest of it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I think that the idea is that, like, you know, going from DJ into sustainability world, there was definitely like some tension with that because people think of you in a certain way and
Yeah.
and people love consistency. They want you to remain the same.
Yeah.
It's tough for people to have that experience of like change. And so that feeling that pressure that I have to live up to other people's expectations, like that was a process of like shedding that
Yeah.
and being like, no, this I can do like what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know?
There were
And
no rules.
you know, so I think that's a thing, you know, that all people have to sort of get over in terms of like, you know, going to whatever next stage or chapter they want to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Last minute, anything else you want to add? Otherwise,
Yeah. Definitely want to like make sure that like people, yeah, we're doing the New Year's party, like a House of Loom
Yeah.
thing at Benson Theater. And then
we'll be
literally,
there.
you know, the next day I'll fly,
He's
you know.
literally leaving on the. He's having this New Year's bash as his
Yeah.
going away party. I'll link it in the caption below. Otherwise, thank you so much
Yeah.
for everything that you've brought to my life, the creativity, the partnerships, being literally elbow deep in trash bins. It's been an amazing journey. Yeah.
I appreciate
care.
you, Sam. This has been great.
Have a happy adventure.